Hey guys, are you ready to take advantage of what is probably the biggest real estate investment opportunity in the last 20 years for multifamily apartments? You're going to have an opportunity to buy multifamily rental properties in the next 2 years at bottom prices. But if you don't act quickly, you're gonna miss this boat. How many times have you waited and said, I'm just gonna wait for the bottom? So many institutional investors have hinted that the bottom is gonna happen soon, especially for multifamily, possibly sometime in the next 12 to 18 months. I'm gonna tell you how to be prepared to jump on this opportunity, and in the next 5 to 10 years down the road, you are gonna look like a freaking genius. Many investors consider the small multifamily the easiest and most forgiving asset class when you're talking about buying real estate property. The reason is that the property pretty much can qualify for a loan by itself. Seldom do you need a guarantor to sign in order to get the loan. And most banks will lend you like up to 75% of the value, provided that the property shows a really good cash flow. And with multifamily properties, you don't have to manage or deal with the tenants yourself. Trust me, that's a really big headache if you're doing it by yourself. Instead, you can hire a great property management company and they'll take care of everything for you. Here is a house hack that I think you can do if you're starting off and don't have a ton of money. You should consider investing in a small residential multifamily unit that is like 4 units or less. These units are great opportunities for you to be able to qualify for the loan as an owner-occupied property. And so as a result, the loans generally are cheaper. You live in one of the properties and you rent out the other 3. As you build equity in these properties, you can then just move out, buy another property, and turn the 4th property into a rental. This will allow you to then put less money down because you're an owner-occupied. The tenants can then pay all your expenses, and many people live in the property so they can manage it themselves. It's a really easy way to get started when you're buying your first multifamily property. Oh, and one more thing. If you can't afford to buy a multiplex, this is what you can do to get started as well. Buy a single family that has a big enough lot in the backyard and build an ADU. Basically, you're turning a single family into kind of 2 units that you can rent out the second. Over time, you can move out of the first unit and rent both properties. Important thing to remember when you're calculating your rate of return for all your investments in your rental property is look at your cash flow, your cash on cash for that specific property. These figures can then help you figure out whether that property is a good investment or not. If you can get an inexpensive loan, then you should consider borrowing in order to buy this property. This will allow you to then leverage the money that you have, and you'll be able to grow your net worth much faster. A lot of real estate investors neglect to look at cash flow. They think that it's okay for them to buy a property that doesn't have cash flow. I mean, if they're only losing a couple $100s a month, then it might be worth it because the property is going to appreciate faster than what their potential monthly loss is. This might be true in some cases, but it's a very risky move. If, let's say, your tenant misses a few payments, or what happened during COVID when you couldn't evict the tenant for non-payment, this can then cause you to be out thousands of dollars every single month, and you got to add the negative cash flow that you originally lost. If you don't have the bank budget to endure, you could literally lose this house. This is a recipe for disaster. Now, if you have more money and you can purchase larger multifamily properties, you have a huge advantage to most. There is less competition when you buy larger property. There are typically is a sweet spot for investing in multifamily. Really small apartments like 8 units or smaller tend to have a lot of people that are interested in purchasing them. So this field can be very, very crowded. If you buy apartments that are larger, let's say 100 units or more, typically now you're going to compete with institutional investors and pension funds. Those people have way bigger pockets than you, and so as a result, you're going to probably have a difficult time taking down that type of property against them. The sweet spot is between 20 to about 100 units for the apartment building, because you're not looking to compete with owner-occupieds who might be looking to buy it as their only piece of real estate. And you're definitely not going to compete with institutional buyers who have hundreds of millions of dollars. The distressed deals are going to be available in the next couple of years. So you're probably asking yourself, How do I find these properties? Here's a few ways that you can look for these deals. The first way is to look at the MLS or talk to a local real estate agent. If you are in San Diego and you want to buy multifamily units, I've left a link in the description below that you can then reach out to me and I can help you get started. Another way is to go off market. This basically means drive around in the neighborhood and see if you have properties that look distressed to you. If there are properties that are in a desirable area that look neglected, bingo, you may have found that one. Local communities also have meetings and groups that can also be very helpful when you talk to them. They will generally meet and bring deals to each other. Often, you'll become friends with a lot of these other investors and end up syndicating deals together and create investment opportunities. Believe it or not, Craigslist and Zillow can also be a great place to look for properties. Here though, I recommend you be really careful. Many times these scammers will post properties that don't belong to them to scam and victimize an unsuspecting buyer. I know you probably think that this can't happen to you. However, my editor Levi had his nephew get scammed. If you're not sure, reach out to a professional like myself, a local real estate agent that can help vet these people for you. LoopNet is another great place to look for properties. Investors all say LoopNet is where commercial real estate properties go to die. The reason is that most of these deals happen between brokers in a way that is never seen by the public. If LoopNet is where properties go to die, consider looking there. You might be able to find a good deal. At the very least, call the listing agent and make a friend. You are a real estate investor and you might as well try something. You'll be able to earn their trust, and maybe over time, they'll bring you deals you just don't know. If you're someone who has no money and no experience and you're looking to just strike it rich, don't be that person. Brokers can smell a fake. And when they meet you, they're not going to want to work with you. If you're the real deal, remember, you're not looking for a deal at that moment. You're looking for people and relationship. The opportunity will come if you're consistent and you're honest. Auctions.com and Zoom are also places that you can consider looking. Auctions can be very different, however, than traditional sales. Most auctions don't offer any financing to the investors, and the investors must bring in all cash at the close. If you have money and all cash, this could be a great opportunity because it narrows again the field of competition. This includes auctions at your local county. A lot of times you'll find opportunities when you go and bid on local county properties that the city is selling. You'll be able to then become familiar with the auction process before you actually buy any properties. I've seen beginners who have made a lot of mistakes and they buy second or third trust deeds and then it just wipes them out completely. These people didn't know what they're doing, didn't take the necessary experience to learn from more qualified individuals. They have lost hundreds and thousands of dollars. I'll give you a story. When I was flipping houses back in 2008 and 9 during the major crash, we would buy properties at the auction. Our goal is to buy first trust deeds and then take over possession of the property. We saw investors who didn't know what they're doing buy second, third trust deeds that nobody else was willing to compete. They bid alone, and at the end, everyone laughed at them because we knew what they just did, and it wiped them out. They would spend $300,000, $400,000 buying a second trust deed and lose all their money. Facebook also has investment groups that you can look into. I've put these groups in the description below if you just want to go check them out. Remember though, a lot of these groups have beginners in them, and it can be frustrating at times when you're participating in these groups. Go check it out and see for yourself. If you are a beginner, it's a great place to look and learn. Now finally, my go-to place for looking to buy properties is propertyradar.com. So if you're watching this video up until this point, I've given you my affiliate link below. This is where you can go and get 5 days free of charge just to mess around on the site. This way, you'll be able to see what it's all about and hopefully find that perfect investment property. The last tip that I can offer is if you do find a good deal, the money will always follow a good deal. So if you find a good opportunity, investors will come with more money than you can possibly imagine. Thing to remember when you're investing in real estate with anyone is the person that you choose to work with is more critical than the deal itself. You're betting on that person to make the deal work. I would rather take an honest person and a so-so deal than a phenomenal deal and somebody that I don't trust. So don't just look at the numbers, look at who you are working with. Trust is the most important element when it comes to investing of any sort. Like anything in life, it's not about overnight, it's about over time. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. And if you need any assistance, I'm always available. Just reach out to me and I'll see what I can do for you. As always, I'm Scott and you've been Real Estate Informed.